the second one's starting the day with a plan. So we talk to a lot of builders and so forth, and we go, it's so important to wake up and you know exactly what you need to do that day. You can't just run your day on the fly. You have it, if you've got your day planned out, you know what your values are. We're not talking about just work commitments, responsibilities. We're talking about work and life. And in that way, when you have your goals very clear, you're going to be able to do away with clutter, because people become overwhelmed when they don't know what their priorities are.
Hello and welcome. You're listening to Constructing Mindsets. I'm your host, Vincent Saunders. This is all about changing the way we talk about the construction industry. Whether you're on the tools or supporting others behind the scene, we are hearing from the people who are shining their light and making a difference. Thanks for joining us. Let's get into the episode.
The year's going quickly, as they always do, into the 1st of July today. It's like, okay, we're on
the birthday today as well.
Oh, that's nice.
It's a big day for us.
Cool. Are you doing something after this? You going to do something on the weekend or later on in the week?
No, yeah, we are. I've got next week. I got a couple of days off next week, and
okay,
going to do one day with my son, and then another day with her.
Oh, that's nice.
We'll hopefully have some time there. But
cool.
Yeah, and I see you've been busy, lots of training, and met with a minister and stuff like that. So you've been obviously had a busy couple of weeks as well since we last spoke.
Yeah, there's only our team's pretty small with what I do with the Live Well, Build Well program that I run. So in each week, I like to have 4 or 5 good activities that I've done. Do you know what I mean? I don't like to have a week because because we are such a small team. I need to have some significant things that have happened in that week. Because with the small team, we're trying to get really good awareness and trying to be in front of the right people and be at the right place at the right time. And so it's important that I use time wisely. So I try to get things, and then I look at each week and I think, I could have done more, or never feels enough, to be honest. But of a small team, there's myself, there's a lady called Lisa that looks after all our marketing. It's our digital strategist, and then I report to a very intelligent guy called Hugh Norris. He's our director, and he's the expert in health and well-being. And then my role, Vincent, is engagement. Being able to get out to construction firms and merchants and all the stakeholders in building and be able to deliver our message to the workers, the people actually doing the work. And as time goes on, more and more people want it, not only for the tradies themselves, but they like it for the people in support in the office, which is fine. Mental fitness is for everyone. It's not, of course, it's very important for tradies, but everyone can benefit from some good ideas and some good tools. So that's my week. And how about you? How's your podcast going? It's great initiative. Lots of interesting people.
Yeah, I think I've got another episode coming out tomorrow morning. I think he personally had some really good insights, being from a little bit younger into the trade.
Yeah, everyone's going to have their own sort of perspective, aren't they? And ideas and everything. So, that's great.
It kind of feels like I'm just, it's hard work with 2 kids and different job, but it does feel good. Anyway, do you just want to give us a quick brief sort of rundown how you transitioned into Live Well, Build Well?
Absolutely. So Vincent, my background was working for GJ Gardner Homes, so building lots of lifestyle homes out in the Rodney West area. I also was involved in some site management as well, some project management, site management, managing contractors, scheduling out their activities and getting to know them and sort of ensuring that everyone was on site at the right time and they had everything they needed to be able to contribute to their part of the job. But within my health and safety role, I was involved in listening into a lot of mental health presentations. And over a number of years, I heard a message that was repeated often. And the message was in the terrible statistics of suicide and illness for mental health with construction workers. And that really concerned me. I'd never heard anything like that before in all the different roles that I've had lots of different roles in different industries, and I never heard an industry that had poor statistics with mental health and suicides. I realised over time that there wasn't a lot of conversation around prevention. All the conversation was about when people were ill and sick and needed help and needed to reach out for support. Massively, hugely important topic to discuss and very important, but I was concerned that there wasn't much conversation to prevention and to ideas to help tradies and builders to educate themselves with some smart tools to be able to prevent from becoming unwell. So quite simply, I just did what you're doing now. I created a podcast. I started interviewing experts, health experts across multiple areas, financial, chiropractors, counselors, anyone that I thought that could provide some good advice and some good support I spoke to. And I guess that started off where I've ended up today. It was noticed, my podcast was noticed by ACC. They involved me in a number of surveys, and then they connected me to the leadership of Live Well, Build Well, which was just a real timely occurrence that they were just starting it up. And they thought, well, here's a guy, he's working in construction, he's talking about prevention, he's talking about the prevention of illness. He's already sort of doing his own thing. So within a few months, I was what they call the engagement lead or the program lead, where I'm the guy that's boots on ground, taking the message out to workers, working with building companies, mostly group home builders and large organisations like Fletcher Living, organisations that have workers or customers as builders and tradies, and sharing some very practical ideas with ways in which people can make some positive change with their thinking in order to become a bit more resilient and prevent from spiralling down quickly. So that was my background to what I'm doing. I construction, noticed that there was a lot of conversation in one area but not another area. There was a bit of a gap in that prevention talk. Started talking to prevention, and that connected me to the Live Well, Build Well program, and that's where I am today. I'm a couple of years in now leading Live Well, Build Well, which has been a lot of fun. And the construction sector is huge, so and multi-layered, and I've really enjoyed it. Yeah, it's fun.
Transitioning into Live Well, Build Well, so did you have a background in training or facilitating?
Yeah, that's that's a good question. Look, to be honest, Vincent, not so much, but I've done a lot of things. Like I'm in my 50s, and I've had a lot of different jobs. So I was a wedding photographer for years, yeah, and then people may think of that and they think, what's that got to do with mental health? But the thing about being a wedding photographer is that you get to know people in a very short amount of time. If you think about your wedding day, it's 8 hours or 6 hours, whatever it is, 10 hours. And then you think about meeting someone prior to their wedding. I'd meet couples, and then I'd be very focused on them for that couple for the day. You get to that type of job, being a wedding photographer, you get to know people really well, and you get to gain their trust, because they're not going to take good photos if they don't like you, if they don't trust you. So that skill of being able to work with a couple and the groom and the bridal team is really important. You need to be able to you need to enable them to feel relaxed with you in order to open up and take great photos. That same skill applies to everything that's connected to connecting with people with what I do with Live Well, Build Well. I speak with lots of builders, and I interview them, and I record interviews as we are now. And a big part of a good interview, to get good insights, to get good ideas for mental fitness and everything that we promote, is to gain trust in someone so that they feel comfortable telling you something. And then so I feel that having been a wedding photographer has been very helpful, because I'm sure you would agree that you need to be quite relaxed with someone that's about to, point a lens at you for 8 hours.
Yeah,
so
it's a very unique way to look at
I've still got my website, rafaelcaso.co.nz.
We'll start talking.
The photos are looking a little bit old now, they're getting a bit dated, but it's still there. I haven't done I haven't photographed a wedding in ages. But yeah, I've done lots of different things, Vincent. I also taught for a while. I did some teaching, and so I was up in front of a class. I did like an internship, a photographic internship actually, and then as part of that I needed to fund the shortfall, and not, an internship's not a guaranteed 5 days, it's 2-3 days, what have you. So I was doing some what they call TESOL teaching. TESOL's teaching speakers of a different language, English, and then so I was in front of classrooms of up to 20-30 Korean, Japanese, Chinese students, people between the ages of about 15 up to about 40, and then so I did that while I was doing my photographic internship. So I got very accustomed to speaking and presenting and everything like that. So I've done lots of things that haven't been directly linked to Live Well, Build Well, but over but they've contributed to building some good skills and being able to get in front of people and present and so forth.
Because you might have answered it there, but kind of touching on sort of your long career, and then you've been with Live Well, Build Well for a couple of years and doing a lot of facilitating. Do you still have points during your current role at Live Well, Build Well that you think back and you're like, oh, I learnt this, 10 years ago, 15 years ago? Like, is there stuff that you still rely on to this day, or is it kind of completely different in that training space that you're in now?
Yeah, I guess everything's evolving. Everything evolves and that changes. But there's a lot of, I think the main skill is communication. And communication, I'm sure you'd agree, super important with whatever you're doing work-wise. And communication comes down to listening to people well and asking good questions. And then letting people think about, helping people express themselves. Like, I interview a lot of people with what I do, and ultimately I'm looking for greater their perspective of what they're doing to look after themselves, and I want to hear about their success with mental fitness and how they've become resilient, robust, what they're doing to look after themselves. Sometimes I can hear someone struggling to express themselves. So I think that the one skill that I need to work on, or something I have to get better at, is help them to be able to express themselves by I can hear what they're trying to say, but then I can ask another question that enables them to complete what they wanted to say. So I think that's with what you're doing and with what I do as well, so we're doing something similar. I think that's a big one. I hear people and they're about 50% in explaining, but they can't quite nail it. And then so rather than move on to the next question, I stop. And I think they wanted to say something. I'll ask the question in a different way. And then when I do ask it in a different way, it helps them to actually complete what they were trying to say. So I think that's something that I need to develop, but I'm getting better at it.
Do you think that's like a industry kind of thing where maybe they don't want to share exactly how they're going through and pulling the answer out through another question? Or is it just they kind of really haven't thought about it and it hasn't come out before?
Yeah, look, I think it'd be a combination of things. It'd be a combination of them not being able to express themselves. It'll be a combination of maybe it's a topic that they haven't really thought about. But it's case by case. People have their different reasons. If I can see someone's uncomfortable about maybe discussing something, I'll move on. I'm certainly not going to make people uncomfortable by trying to squeeze any information out of them that makes them uncomfortable. So I can usually pick that up if they don't want to discuss something. But the important thing for Live Well, Build Well, though, is that we're working in the mental health space, but we're sharing success stories. We're sharing a very positive message with mental health. It's a strengths-based approach to mental health, certainly not trying to delve into darkness and anything. And if we do sort of cover anything that may be a bit dark, the important thing for us is that we're really talking about a person's journey through that difficult time, and now they've popped out at the other end and they're able to reflect on what got them through. So yeah, we're sharing a very positive message. So yeah, I think most people are keen to help their fellow tradesperson or their fellow construction worker by sharing experiences, and that's what we facilitate. We facilitate success stories and what people have done to overcome challenges. They may go to a dark place, but we wanting to know what got them out of that dark place, and then they generally feel proud and very happy with themselves that they were able to contribute towards stories that go on to help other people just like them.
One other question maybe while we're here. You touched on engagement earlier. Do you think sort of focusing on that positive story or that positive way out helps them engage, rather than sort of, you spoke about sort of the mental health sort of training sessions that are done? Do you think sort of focusing on the outcome and how to move forward through something is kind of getting that engagement a bit more?
Absolutely. If you think about I think people always want to listen to a success story, a positive story, a story that had a good outcome. I don't think anyone wants to hear something that ended badly for someone. We're trying to inspire people, I'm not trying to inspire them. I'm trying to find inspirational people, and those inspirational people inspire. So, I think a good way to engage is to find inspirational people, and they can come from all walks of life. You couldn't describe what an inspirational person looks like, because they come from every race and creed and from every walk of life. These are people that are mindful, they've got good self-awareness, and they understand what's helped them, and they're able to articulate that, they're able to explain that so that other people understand. So yeah, I think most people want to hear, they want to be inspired. And so an inspirational talk, or someone that's talking through a story, the people that are going to engage well are people that are able to express that well about how they've been able to find the light at the end of a dark tunnel. Yeah, definitely.
And it's peer to peer as well, and I think that's what's so powerful about it. It's somebody that you work with every day. You see them walking, having lunch in the same place, and they going through something and they share that story, and that opens the door to the person next to them, which I think is super powerful.
Yeah, spot on. Peer to peer, that's a good one. Yeah, the experts call it social learning, learning from your colleagues, learning from people like you, like us. Yeah, social learning. That was explained to me when I started at Live Well, Build Well. I'd never heard that term before,
No,
but then
I haven't heard that either.
yeah, social learning. Yeah, learning from
Oh,
your
yeah.
peers. Yeah, I liked
Okay,
it.
cool.
I thought, oh, that's cool.
Well, yeah, just to touch on maybe some of the challenges that are out there in the industry. We've talked about sort of some of the good peer-to-peer stuff and moving through a hard time. But what are those specific challenges that people are going through out there?
Well, I think that one of the biggest challenges in construction currently is a lack of uncertainty and unpredictability. I think that what gives people peace of mind is knowing what's around the corner, knowing that, okay, there's job security, there's plenty of work on, and you're going to be financially safe, you're going to be able to pay all your bills, and then for people that run small businesses, they're going to be able to pay their staff, and they've got a good pipeline of work. So currently we're faced with a lot of uncertainty, a lot of unpredictability, where the volume of work has definitely been a real challenge for everyone. And so what that means is people have the weight of uncertainty on their shoulders. So that would be one of the biggest challenges at the moment. And then so what we're saying at Live Well, Build Well, because potentially people can start, that worry can become overwhelming for some people, especially if they've got other things going on as well. So they've got the uncertainty of their financial stability. They may have some relationship problems as a result. They may have some other areas that are also contributing to a lot of worry and concern, and they may start to feel overwhelmed. And then so what we're really saying for mental fitness and for the Live Well, Build Well message is to really start making improvements in order to avoid becoming overwhelmed and being swept away by all that uncertainty, by looking at your day-to-day habits and what you're doing. Because your habits, the way you're living your life, ultimately determines who you are. If you think about everything that you do is your habit, it determines your life to some extent, right? You can control your habits. You can't really control the economic situation. So you've got to really focus on what you can control. And so what we really want to raise awareness to for Live Well, Build Well is looking at the fundamentals of what makes good well-being. And then for a lot of people it's obvious, but they probably don't think about it. So one being sleep, the quality 7 to 8 hours sleep. You have to have that. Everyone has to have that to function at a good level. And then so we get people to think about their sleeping habits, what they're doing. The second thing, we're trying to help people with what they can control, because if you can make good changes, swap out weak habits for stronger ones, then you're going to move further up in being able to have better confidence in dealing with challenges, right? The second one's all about, so we talk about the 5 S, so 5 words beginning with S. We want to make it as simple as possible. Layman's terms, you don't have to be a scientist to understand it. We're not going to make it technical. We're going to make it really simple. Sleep. The second one's starting the day with a plan. So we talk to a lot of builders and so forth, and we go, it's so important to wake up and you know exactly what you need to do that day. You can't just run your day on the fly. You have it, if you've got your day planned out, you know what your values are. We're not talking about just work commitments, responsibilities. We're talking about work and life. And in that way, when you have your goals very clear, you're going to be able to do away with clutter, because people become overwhelmed when they don't know what their priorities are. They become overwhelmed because they're doing too much, and they're doing the small things that don't really need to be done, because everything then, if they don't have a plan, they're not really mapping out their day, then everything becomes urgent. So then that's a big conversation, and we get a lot of great feedback from tradies and from people in construction around that. Starting your day with a plan, that's a big one. The third one is stopping at breaks, eating well, sustaining your energy so that you have a good amount of energy right throughout the entire day, keeps you alert, keeps you focused. The fourth one is switching off at the end of the day. Such an important topic and such a big challenge for a lot of people in construction, being able to not think about work the whole evening. when they walk in the door to their family or to their flatmates or to whoever they live with, being able to be present and being able to have good activities that help you rest and recover. Such an important one. Things that we don't really think about that often, but people need to understand what it is that they need to do to rest and recover at the end of the day, to switch off. You don't want to be thinking about work the entire time. You don't want to come home and start scrolling your phone for all your responsibilities for the next day. Because if you do that, you're ultimately going to burn out. And that's where, if you're overwhelmed and you're always thinking about work and you've always got your work hat on, then you're not really having time to have that healing. Your body needs to heal. Your thinking needs to take a break, and you need to rest and you need to recover. And people may feel that the only way to get ahead is to soldier on, but ultimately you're not doing yourself any favors. So we talk a lot about being able to switch off at the end of the day, what activities help. We talk about the importance of not becoming slaves to technology, scrolling, reading emails, checking on, all the updates for work and that. So that's a big one. And then the number 5 is socializing. Quite a basic, simple sort of idea, socializing. But the truth is that for a lot of people it fades over time. Young guys, the guys in their 20s, it's just a natural thing to do. Teens and 20s, maybe in the early 30s. But once, for a lot of us that have a family and kids start taking a bit of a priority, and of course family commitment, and then if you have your mates that have travelled off abroad, they're no longer, you don't have your little rat pack that you once had every way. They're doing different things, different areas around the country, different countries. Then you can become quite isolated, and then the dream of socialising, it starts becoming a bit of a something that you once had in your life, socialising. But then it can fade away for a lot of people. And what we're really saying is, there's nothing that's going to improve your mental health faster, give you a boost of good mental fitness and a boost of happiness, than locking in time to spend time with the people that make you laugh and the people who you enjoy the company the most. That's got to be the fastest way to make big improvements with mental health and fitness. So that's another big conversation that we had. So the 5, in summary, is quality sleep, starting your day with purpose, being able to stop and take your breaks, and then eat well where you can. I understand that construction, a lot of the time the guys eat on the fly, but we're saying from time to time, man, wake up a bit early, make yourself a good lunch, and then take your breaks. Don't work through them. Switching off at the end of the day, having good activities that allow you to rest and recover, so that you can have a good energy the next day, and then being able to ensure that you're spending time with people that you enjoy and they enjoy your company and can be very healing. I had one builder the other day say something that was quite cool. He said that when he catches up with friends, he'll share good and bad things that are happening, and he said once you share a problem with someone, that problem halves, and then if you share the problem with another person, 2 people, that problem quarters. And I thought that was quite a cool way to explain it. So the idea of socializing is that it's fun and that, but it's also quite therapeutic. You can sort of talk about things that are going on. People may have good advice for you, but ultimately people may just want, you may feel just comfort in someone listening to you and letting you sort of go through the details, and they may not say anything at all, but they've listened to you. You may discover that you come up with your own solution, but you just needed someone to sit through it, and you can do the same for others. So anyway, so those are the sort of, so the idea then, when you're faced with unpredictability, when you're faced with a lack of certainty, that the one thing that you can start doing straight away, regardless of where you're at with mental health and that, where you are on that wellness scale, is that you can start to swap some weaker habits for some stronger habits. Now, if you think over time, if you're getting good sleep, let's say you've got some really good activities for your health, fitness, you're spending time with a lot of people that are around you, that are supporting you, listening to you, that's going to go a long way in you not spiraling down. You're going to have a support team, you're going to be keeping your physical fitness at a good level, and you're going to have good rest and recovery. And then the benefit of that is that it creates good focus, because when you're going through a time of uncertainty, you need to be able to pivot and to be able to make good decisions. And if you're feeling clouded, and if you're feeling not rested, and if you're feeling fatigued, you're going to make poor decisions, because and that's where big problems can occur, is that you don't have the clarity that you require to deal with uncertainty. And what we're really saying is that by becoming aware of your habits, swapping weaker ones for stronger ones, introducing some good sort of strategies that it's gonna lift your level of clarity and concentration and alertness. You're going to be able to pivot. Pivot means move in the right direction in time of uncertainty, because that's what ultimately you're going to have to do. When you don't know what's around the corner, something's going to change and you need to be able to make the right decision and go in the right direction. So it's all about lifting your level of awareness and keeping sharp so you can make some good decisions that can help you through that. So it's not something that people can be perfect in, but it's something that people can certainly improve in and over time become very good at. And then that's what becomes resilience, is having the skills to work through difficulties with confidence and clarity, and being able to, as a result, come out the other end well.
Just with those five you talked through, like what's maybe one that most people, or sort of that you've seen a lot of people struggle with, and one that a lot of people get really easily?
Well, it all depends, who you're talking to. Like, I talk to a lot of young tradies, young builders, young what have you, guys on site, and for a lot of them, they're sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night. They're gaming, they're up late, and they all think it's funny, but they're tight. They tell me, and all of them want to change. So there's a level of discipline that needs to come into making any positive change for yourself. So I was in front of a group of builders last week on site, and out of a group of about 20, 4 or 5 of them said that they get by on 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, 4 hours, 5 hours. And then I asked them what they were doing, and they said they're mostly on their devices and gaming. And then I said, well, how do you feel the next day? And they go, terrible in the morning, but by lunchtime I'm okay. And then so, if you think about feeling fatigued and tired, and then you've got a problem on top of that, like maybe some uncertainty, maybe some job security, maybe a relationship problem, but you're feeling fatigued already, it's going to be the combination of challenges together that's going to become overwhelming. So that's one that comes up quite often, sleep. But then, of course, you have other people where they just drop off after 10 seconds, and then and they'll happily sleep 8 hours undisturbed. So it depends on the individual. But that tends to be the one that comes up often. The other one that comes up often is that some people are very good at, and some people are not very good at, and that's being able to switch off at the end of the day. And some tradies have great activities, like simple ideas. We're not talking about, ideas that are far-fetched. We're talking about practical, simple ideas. So, like I've spoken to a lot of younger tradies, and for a lot of them, the best way to switch off at the end of the day is breaking that time up from finishing work to going home with some form. And that may take the form of many different activities. Like I had one young guy that explains that he goes for like a half an hour run 4 or 5 times a week. And he said after the run, he feels like a level of good tiredness because he feels exerted and he can relax for the whole night. So that really helps him, so that when he gets home, he feels really relaxed because he's been exercising. For other people, other tradies, they've said some very funny things, like, some finish work, they drive home, and then in the car park, in their driveway, they just listen to some music for about 20 minutes. It just helps them unwind, unpack all their thinking, because when they walk through the door, they want to be. A lot of builders sort of tradies explained that was a method, just by having some personal time before you walk in your front door and kids are racing around and there's a lot of activity and commotion and all that. So, it's really, there's no one fit all type solution. What it really comes down to with making good mental fitness improvements is understanding what it is that you need to do as an individual. What you do may be different. What you require may be different from the next person. So it's a big part of making improvements is being able to assess your needs, to understand what it is that you need to rest and recover, feel well, and give yourself good energy. Yeah, so it's a self-assessment ultimately. And then a good way to learn about yourself is by listening in to other people to understand what they're doing. And you may hear something and you think, I might give that a go, what that person's doing, So yeah, the peer-to-peer learning but those two come up often, sleep and switching off at the end of the day, because you certainly get a lot of people that just can't do that. I've spoken to people that they're checking their work emails all night. And then then they dream about work as well. They dream about work. Truly, they had people telling me that they dream about go in that, with that type of, thinking about work and always, racing around for all your responsibilities. It's ultimately you're going to come to a point where you're going to be overwhelmed, and that's what we're trying to help people avoid is not reaching that that stage.
Yeah, I think, and those 2 points, the sleep and trying to switch off at the end of the day, sort of, would you be able to maybe share a couple of things that has worked for people to be able to enhance their sleep or enhance that ability to switch off at the end of the day?
There's lots of things. The basics are having boundaries with technology for sleep, not sort of being a slave to scrolling. I think scrolling's very damaging, and most people would agree that that could be something that you could do less of, scrolling on devices. The other thing is to do more relaxing activities before you go to bed. You don't want a lot of stimulation before you go to sleep, like watching TV or scrolling your phone. You want to do some activities that help you relax, and maybe swapping out looking at your phone for a bit of reading for 20 minutes could help you get more in the mood and slow your thinking down a bit so you can sleep better. So that tends to be the biggest thing for a lack of sleep, is getting some good discipline around devices and gaming, certainly, and then certainly late night snacking, which doesn't help. If you're giving yourself a spike of sugar or caffeine or anything, you don't want to be doing any of that. You want to be letting your body slow down. So there's lots of good sleep hygiene ideas that you can easily find online that people can do. And as I described for the switching off, it's breaking up that time that you have between finishing work and getting home, finding an activity within that time, even if it's for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It doesn't have to be a 2-hour workout at the gym. Deadlifting, doing deadlifts or anything really full on, or it could be something very simple. Just to walk in your neighborhood or walk the dog for like 15 minutes. The easier it is, the more likely it is that you can keep it up. Of course, if you can go to the gym or have a round of golf or do something, or tennis or squash, whatever it is, if you can get that in, perfect. But then we're talking about busy people that may have to get home and cook for everyone. Think each night, how I'm going to time it all. So it's really, look, the smaller the activity is and the more achievable it is daily, the better. Even if it's a 15, 20-minute walk, all of that in combination with each other will go a long way to putting the frame of mind.
Just doing something for 5, 10, 15 minutes, whatever
That's
you
it.
do, I think is super beneficial. Just about changing the blood flow, the energy in your body, and also just resetting your mind.
Yeah. The thing about habit forming is that the simpler it is, the more likely it is that you can do it, and then you can build on it. So once you have success with introducing a good habit in one area, then you can look at extending that out. So it's all about building on success.
Kind of talking about some of the success, obviously you've been with Live Well, Build Well for sort of best part of 2 years, you said, or around 2. I guess looking back from 2 years ago to now, but have you seen a change in the industry, or sort of have you seen some improvements in the industry, and sort of how is that? Yeah, sort of what does that look like, and where's that coming from?
Yeah, sure thing. Well, we're funded. Live Well, Build Well is funded by ACC. So the ACC, they measure success in the number of claims accidents. So maybe not after 2 years. I'm not too sure you'll see a massive decline. I think that will take a bit of time for the message to sink in with mental fitness. But the goal and the mission is to empower people with good skills and good control over their mental health, that they feel more in control of it, so that they're less likely to feel overwhelmed. And while you're at work, if you're not feeling overwhelmed and you feel focused and alert, it's less likely you're going to make a dangerous decision for yourself. You're going to make safer decisions for yourself. So we're hoping to see in time a decline in accidents on site. Live Well, Build Well is an accident prevention program. That's what essentially we are, by introducing mental health as a strengths-based asset, strengths-based. So that's ultimately what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to achieve a increase in confidence with the control, each individual's control with mental health. And in being able to achieve that, they're going to make safer decisions for themselves on site. They're not going to be in a state of mind where they're not focused and they don't have clarity, they're overwhelmed, and then they're going to make good decisions, safe decisions, healthy decisions for themselves. So I guess we'll have to see how that evolves those claims. At the moment, I'm not too sure where they are, but no doubt that's going to become clearer with a bit of time. We do an annual survey, Live Well, Build Well, run through Ipsos, which is an international survey organisation, and we've done two. We've just done our third one, so we're hoping to see an improvement in the wellbeing. It's a tradie wellbeing survey. So they answer questions which then determine where they're sitting overall with their wellbeing. In the first 2 years, it showed that most tradies sit more or less at they sit with their well-being as most Kiwis do that aren't builders. But there's always trends that come up. Like there was a trend, there was data to show that for a lot of tradies, they did feel quite isolated, and there were areas that definitely we need to be aware of so we can make the Live Well, Build Well program, we're able to ensure that we can provide some focus or attention in areas that can help tradies out. But yeah, so I guess we're at the early stages, but in time we're hoping to see a reduction in ACC claims, and then certainly we're hoping to see through our annual survey an increase in wellbeing. When tradespeople are assessing themselves, they know how they're tracking, and we'd like to see over time that there's an improvement in how they're feeling, and we're able to see that through data through those surveys. But we're waiting to. We've just completed year 3, so it'll be good to have a look at that one to see if there's an improvement from last year. But I'll make those. I can share those with you once they're ready. They're currently that survey's being put together now. All the data's been collected. So that's the way in which we sort of measure it. But then, of course, the other way in which we sort of get a good indication of where people are tracking is feedback. So we work with a lot of the merchants, TM and Carters, and then we work with a lot of the group home builders. And then generally we're given feedback from our presentations. And I've been very lucky in that the feedback's been really positive, which has been great. And it's positive because the feedback from the workers that listened in to presentations and so forth, they've gone back to their leadership and said, we really enjoyed that was useful. So we get very good feedback from all our talks, and that certainly is encouraging and demonstrates that a strengths-based approach to mental health has been really well received in the construction sector, which is great.
What are your aspirations for Live Well, Build Well, aspirations for the industry for yourself?
Well, we're such a small team, Vincent, as you know. There's myself, Lisa, our marketing expert, and then of course we've got our strategist, our director, a guy called Hugh Norris that has decades of working in this space. So we've got a very small team. So the aspiration for us is to build out the program through champions. So that's the stage that we're at now. We're at the stage of recruiting those champions. So what a champion is there's someone that works in the industry. A builder could be someone in the support office, could be a QS, could be an estimator or anyone involved in construction that has a network of construction friends and colleagues. We're looking for champions, so people in the sector already doing great things for themselves, and they've already been through a bit of a journey. They know themselves well, they know what helps, they know their own requirements, and they're keen to share those ideas. And then so through the organisation Fletcher Living, there's been a number of individuals that I've found in that organisation, Narissa, Travis, and the way in which we plan to build out the program, our aspiration is that we're going to have hundreds, if not thousands, of these champions nationwide that understand our program, understand our message of mental fitness, and can lead people to where they can find our resources, can articulate the message of mental fitness well, and that totally understand the necessity of speaking about mental health as a strengths-based asset, and empowering people to know that they've got some good control over their mental health outcome, and that they're not going to be overwhelmed and become ill, so our aspiration is to have thousands. Well, I guess we're starting small, but over time we want to have these right across the country, and that's what we're currently at the stage. We're at that stage now, so we've got our first group, and then we're going to be building that out over time. My role then becomes important in being able to ensure that the enthusiasm of these champions is high, that I don't lose them from a lack of activities and a lack of good opportunity to get together and work together and to learn. So that's my work cut out for me, to keep these very engaged, enthusiastic, passionate passionate people in construction, passionate in health and mental fitness. Keeping them enthusiastic and passionate. So my aspiration is to keep them engaged and enthusiastic, and the aspiration for the program is to find hundreds, thousands of these people, so that if you could imagine over time a lot of people think in the way that we're trying to promote throughout the sector. I'm sure you'd agree that there would be some really big improvements, because if you get people that are feeling well, feeling confident, prioritizing their time, they know what they need to do for a very good work-life balance, then they've got colleagues that support that also agree with that are also doing great things, you're going to get a pretty robust supportive workforce. And then of course in doing so, all the other health and safety benefits of that, less risk on site and less risk of becoming overwhelmed and having accidents and being sick. Yeah, our goal is to build out our champion program, have lots of passionate people across the country, and really spreading that very positive message to mental health.
How is that spreading at the moment? Like, are you kind of just in the main centres, or sort of how is that?
The biggest way would be through social media. And we have all those recorded interviews where we interview, like what we're doing now, right? So we have all those interviews that are available on Instagram and Facebook under the Live Well, Build Well site, through YouTube. So we've got like a digital. We've just partnered with SiteSafe, which provides online health and safety training. We've got a free module that's just been released today, and that's been led by Professor Grant Schofield, our scientist, our expert, our professor of health. So that's available. I can send you the link, so if you want to send that to anyone. It's a very short 1 to 2 hour course. People can sort of take themselves through it. They can come back to it. You don't have to do it all at one time. It's free, and it takes you through a very good fundamental background in mental fitness. So that's going to become available. Well, that's available now. So that's another way of reaching people. So we're trying to reach people mostly through our digital resources, our digital platforms, our social platforms, through on-site toolbox talks. I work, as I mentioned, with a lot of the group home builders, and they find opportunities for me to do talks to their contractors, and then I work with the merchants. So I work with ITM. They invite me to their LPB training events. So they organise days where tradies can get their licensed building practitioner points by attending workshops up and down the country, and I present at those. So we talk to hundreds of tradies in a day, which is amazing. And then also this year I'm going to be doing a roadshow with Carters. I'm going to be going to 10 of the big Carters stores across the country, and they're going to organise all their contractors to be there, alongside another organisation called the Professional Builder, which is a marketing company. So we're going to be able to get in front of thousands of builders, tradies over that time. So in order to raise awareness to the program, it's a combination of social media, site talks, and then now our collaboration with SiteSafe that has created a free platform where everyone can log in without being a member of SiteSafe, and be able to take a course in mental fitness. And it sort of talks what I described earlier with the 5 years. That's the very beginning of it. And we have Professor Grant Schofield. He talks to that, but at a more scientific level. But yet again, it's simple. The simpler you can convey a message, the more effective it's going to be. We just want to make it simple, practical, and achievable ultimately. So that's available now.
Sounds good. I'd love, and then we can swap over. I can do your course, and you can have a listen to this and tell me if it was any good. And just one quick question before we go. You talk about these workshops that you do with Carters and the like. What does a day look like if someone comes along to this workshop with you, or with Live Well, Build Well?
Well, they're very short workshops, like they're 30 minutes to an hour. So they're very simplistic. I think the most important thing is that they're interactive. So it's not just listening to me for 30 minutes or an hour. I generally put people in groups, and then people need to work in a group to think about ideas and share ideas, and then they offer feedback. So I think the most important thing to expect when sort of coming along to a Live Well, Build Well presentation or talk is that, because such a big part of our message is in the power of peer-to-peer learning, social learning, there's no better way to demonstrate that by getting people to work as groups and then share ideas with each other. So that's what they've got to expect. They've got to expect that they're going to be participating in that presentation. It's not just listening in. Some people may be more comfortable with sharing their ideas than others, but ultimately we're going to give everyone the opportunity to share what's working with them and then how they're going. That's been successful for them. So that's something that people need to be aware of, that it's interactive. Our talks are interactive. And I make sure of it. Because I certainly don't want to talk for half an hour straight. And I'm sure an hour straight or an hour straight, I'm sure people will tune out quite fast. So the important thing is that we get people actively involved in contributing ideas. And of course, there's some people that have a lot to say, and there's others that want to listen in, and that's fine. No pressure. And if someone's got a lot to say, great. What are you doing? What's working for you? Someone just wants to listen. Listen to these guys. These guys are your colleagues. You know them. So that's the way it works.
Awesome. Well, I was just gonna do a bit of a wrap up of where can people get in contact with you, or
so if you go to our website, livewellbuildwell.com. So I think the website's a good one because we've got everything. You can see everything there, which is great. Follow the stories if you can. So these interviews that I do, similar to what we're doing now, you can find those on our Live Well Build Well YouTube page, our Instagram page, and our Facebook page. Facebook tends to be the most successful, the number of people that listen. Instagram's good, and then YouTube, that's something we need to grow a bit because that we don't have a lot of people listening in on YouTube, but YouTube's quite good because they're all categorized, very clear what you're reading. With when you think about Facebook and Instagram, all over the place, isn't it? The stories and updates and photos, and then there's videos here and there, but YouTube's quite good in that it's very simple to see at a glance what you're going to listen to. So that's where people can find me, through the website, through our social media platforms, and then I can certainly share my email with you and all those details. And then if you want to sort of put it on a link beneath this video here, then that may be helpful as well.
Wrapping up there, any words for the industry?
Think about your well-being scale of -5 to 5, +5, and then 0 being in the middle. And no matter where you sit in that scale, there's always room for some improvement. And the most important thing, I feel, in order to make improvements with mental fitness and mental health, is to know where you are now and to aim a little bit higher, and to understand what it is that you need to do starting from today to make that improvement. And the other important thing that I like to have people think about is that a lot of the things that you can do to make a very good improvement are small things. We're not talking about life transforming habit change. We're talking about small 15 activities that can go a long way, and once you see that starting to take shape, those activities and those improvements take shape, you can build on that success. So bring some awareness to where you sit currently, aim a little higher, and start to introduce some of these better habits. Listen to the stories to other people. Listen to what you'll hear someone that may share some really good advice that really connects with you, that really stands out for you. Have an open mind to listening to other people. And in doing so, you may surprise yourself. You may think, I can do that, and I'm going to start doing that. Yeah, so I guess that's in summary, is to know where you are, aim for a little bit higher, and be open to listening to other people and their success and what they do to look after themselves.
That's it for today's episode of Constructing Mindsets. Remember, every conversation is a chance to shift the culture of construction. Reviews are always appreciated. Until next time, take care and keep showing up with good energy.